What is going on, guys? Rewinds here, and in this video I'm going to be bringing you guys my review for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Manga chapter number 15. And I want to start off by saying that this was yet again another well-paced chapter, which is something I really do want to talk about because I feel like Boruto Naruto Next Generations, that was something that Ikimoto struggled with a little bit more compared to what we're getting into Blue Vortex. I feel like pretty much every month, with the exception of maybe one or two chapters, I feel like the pacing that Boruto 2 Blue Vortex has had for a monthly manga has been pretty damn good. I feel like a lot of the chapters are either focused on one big point and revealing a lot of information or progressing the story a lot, or it'll be a chapter where there's multiple different fronts that are addressed and we see progression on a couple different ends. So I really like the blend of that we've been getting in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex so far, and I hope that it continues because I really am enjoying the content that we are getting right now for it just being a monthly manga. So, let's talk about what happened in this chapter. I'll talk about a couple things I liked and maybe a few I didn't like so much, but overall my thoughts are pretty positive on it. And as always, I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say too about the chapter, so let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you would also rate the chapter out of 10. I'll provide my rating at the end of the video, but let's talk. So we have the chapter titled A Vibrant Life, and it is a solo cover of Ryu, who is the new Shinju based off of Shinki. So the chapter kicked off with a flashback in the Hidden Sand Village where Gaara pretty much is on the defense himself, and he has Shinki and his team trapped in sand in order to prevent them from engaging in the fight. He says that he's going to carry them to the entrance and is ordering them to run, and this is a order as the Kazekage. Shinki, however, is still trying to defy this because he sees his father is in trouble, and then it's revealed that Gaara is up against Matsuri in a fight, and Matsuri's brought some clawgrams as well, and she's pretty much saying that she's only there following the trail of Boruto and his associates. Gaara says that he refuses to let the kids die, and he tells Matsuri that he's going to exchange his life for them if need be. She says that if he doesn't resist, that she'll let them go. So this line right there already told me that Gaara ended up becoming a target for the Shinju. So we could have gotten a Gaara Shinju, but that didn't end up happening thanks to Shinki breaking out of Gaara's sand. And as Gaara is being charged at by the clawgrimes, he uses a sealing jutsu called Magnetic Particle Barrier Palm on Gaara to end up saving him. So otherwise, Gaara, of course, as a Kage of the world, it makes sense that the Shinju would want to go for him to perhaps get someone of his strength as an ally. So I do like that, pretty much the fact that they came for him to perhaps, turn him into a Shinju due to how overwhelming his strength still is in comparison to the rest of the world. So I like that Gaara kind of got that respect. So pretty much as Gaara's being sealed, he tells Shinki to stop, but Shinki responds by telling him that the Sand Village still needs him. Matsuri says that he should have listened to his father, and then a clawgrime ends up biting Shinki. And Shinki's last words end up being to Yodo to inform Kankuro about what happened with Gaara and everything else that happened there. And then Shinki then becomes a tree himself, and Gaara is sealed, so Matsuri cannot reach him anymore now. So Gaara can't become a tree. And this sealing jutsu apparently remains as long as the user is alive. So she says that Shinki's grit is admirable, and that it would be very interesting for Shinki to actually end up joining them. And then we switch over to a different front, which is coming back to the present, and Kankuro's explaining the situation to Shikamaru and saying that Gaara can't be saved until Shinki is, because Shinki is the only one who can undo the seal. And I do like the way they wrote that, because that way you can keep Gaara as a target for what's to come later, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but this way it kind of gives us an arc premise, because Gaara can be used as someone now who's gonna be saved or need to be protected until he gets unsealed. Well, not necessarily, because they can't reach Gaara, but Gaara will be a Shinju target still, which I'll talk about in a moment. But it does set the arc premise, though, for Gaara to get to the original state again if they can first return Shinki to his original state, and then they can free Gaara from the jutsu that Shinki has and get Gaara back to his original state as well, healed up and everything. But Kankuro is pretty much asking Shikamaru if there's anything he knows from Shikamaru that he could do here in this case. But Shikamaru asks Kankuro if they had instead spotted anyone nearby with the same chakra, and Kankuro says no. And then Shikamaru says they'll share any info on, the tree symptoms once they learn more. And another parting thing that Kankuro ends up telling Shikamaru is to not share any of this with Tamari for now. So we did get a little Tamari mention in the manga, which I think is cool. I don't know if we're going to see her, but maybe there's a chance we will, even if it's for a little bit, just simply because Gaara is her brother. So it would make sense for her to at least have a cameo appearance, I would think. So next, Shikamaru is telling Sarada and Sumire that if Boruto comes in contact, to tell him to reach out to Shikamaru because Shikamaru wants some intel himself. And meanwhile, Toad was listening into this conversation, and that's pretty much it for that conversation. And then we actually cut over to the Shinjus, where Ryu is now named, which also happened at the end of the last chapter. And he actually tells them to wait a minute and not talk to him any further, as he ends up exposing Code, who was spying on them. And something else that I found interesting was that he was referring to these other Shinjus as elders, which kind of makes sense because Ryu was just born. So I guess Jura, Matsuri, the Bug Shinju, as well as Hidari are all elders to him now. So interesting little thing there. Jura told Ryu to let Code go, and he says that they owe Code some gratitude because of how they are now. And Jura asks Code pretty much what he's doing there and if he needs them. And Code pretty much responds by asking what their intentions are and if they plan on eating the Otsutsukis as they initially do. But Jura says it'll happen eventually, but other things are being prioritized right now. Jura says if Code can... Well, he pretty much says Code can kill Boruto if he wants because Kawaki's enough food. But Code says that at the end of the day, the one who's going to get the chakra fruit and inherit Ishiki's will be him. And Jura says, really? What if we, the Divine Tree, ate it instead? Which kind of feels like he gave Jura an idea. Maybe Jura wasn't even completely thinking about that before, but it just feels like he gave Jura an idea. And Jura is already seeming like a pretty fearsome foe to begin with. So imagine what could happen if someone like Jura ate that. So Code pretty much takes that as a declaration of defiance and proceeds to try attacking Jura. His arm comes out at Jura, who immediately splits it apart with his Rinnegan beam, and now Code has pretty much lost part of his right arm and is screaming in agony. So in the meantime, Code is being thanked by Jura for giving them freedom to think and how he's enjoying these stimulating days. And he says that Code's life is probably lacking some of this excitement, so he gives him an assignment, which happens to be to find Boruto and the guy allied with him, or perhaps some of his allies, and to kill them. So, just to get a thorn out of Jura's side. In return, Jura promises to give Code the chakra fruit, so pretty much they strike a deal. And I want to say, the Bug Shinju is definitely a hater here, because he says when he looks at Code flailing, as he was just then, he feels relieved. So they're definitely on some hater shit for sure. And Code, as I've said in my spoiler videos, if you guys watch them, Code just can't stop taking L's, guys. It's just not getting any better for him. And I know a lot of people are saying they might be setting him up for one of the biggest comebacks. And don't get me wrong, it's definitely possible. But it's also possible that Code doesn't do any of that and Code just doesn't live up to the hype that he originally had. So I don't know. I don't have super high hopes for him, but I am sure he's going to get some sort of redemption moment. I just don't know how big his moment is going to be. But we'll find out. I'm sure in the coming months, or maybe even a little more down the line, depending on how long Code is around for and if he's involved immediately in the next arc or not. So pretty much Code says, okay, it's a deal. Jura says he wonders where Destiny's going to take Code, and Code says the one who's going to be laughing last will be him. Ryu pretty much asks after Code leaves if he can kill him next time he sees him, and Jura says sure, because if that's what his free will is. And Jura says, though, what's more important now is who Ryu is going to end up devouring. And this is pretty obvious in my opinion, but it is the right choice because, I mean, the person closest to who Shinki was Gaara, so it makes sense that Ryu's instincts would be to devour the fifth Kazekage, which is Gaara. And it seems like Ryu can take care of this sealing technique as well to get him released because he's the one who put it on him when he was Shinki. We then head to the final front of the chapter, which is Boruto sitting by himself on the Naruto Hokage face. And honestly, that panel really hit, guys. Especially for me. I just feel bad for Boruto, and just seeing him chilling on there just shows you how sad his life has turned around. And it's crazy how strong and determined he still is regardless of all that. So shout out to him for pushing through everything and hanging in there so far. So Kawaki actually shows up here, so we get a Boruto and Kawaki conversation. Boruto asks if he's alone. He says yeah, but Ida's probably watching. Kawaki asks why Boruto didn't tell the people of Konoha the truth. Boruto says it'll only cause division and confusion and not lead to anything good. So no matter what happens, though, he says that he's acquired unwavering strength now, though, thanks to his master, so he's not really too worried about that whole situation at the moment. So this does get me thinking, though. Hopefully Boruto doesn't keep this mentality for the full run, you know. I don't know if we're ever going to be able to get a reversal of the situation in some sort of way, but I really don't know what kind of life Boruto's going to live after all this is over. Because is Boruto just going to accept the role of, okay, everything just changed and this just isn't my dad anymore, or this just isn't my mom anymore, this isn't my sister anymore? Or is Boruto going to actually be able to get the actual history flipped again at some point? I feel like part of this is going to come down to if he cares enough to get it done, or if he's just going to sympathize with Kawaki at the end and let him have it. I really don't know. Let me know what you guys think of that, but I'd feel even more bad for him if we went that way. But anyway, Kawaki ends up asking what happened to Momoshiki. He did say from that one instance he saw that Boruto couldn't control his karma right now. And Boruto says pretty much that about 2 years ago when Sasuke and him fought Code, he felt the sensation of being taken over by Momoshiki when he activated his karma for the first time leaving the village. Boruto says that it was a sensation of dying while maintaining consciousness. And because of that feeling, he has never used karma once since. And Kawaki's pretty much just asking him, why did that happen? Because Momoshiki, according to Boruto, has been quiet for the last 3 years overall, though. Like, he has not said a word to Boruto, apparently. And, you know, guys, that's also sus in another way, too, because it just gets you wondering what kind of crazy shit is Momoshiki planning right now. To not say a single word for 3 whole years, Momoshiki might have some devious master plan scheming up, so who knows. But Boruto says, you know, the possibility of Momoshiki coming out is probably just likely with the activation of karma, so he stays away from it. And then he changes the topic by saying the Shinju are tough and that he needs Kawaki's strength to deal with them. And that's pretty much why Boruto's sitting on that Naruto Hokage face just waiting for Kawaki. And Kawaki tells him that they aren't done talking about Momoshiki and to not dodge the question. Boruto says it's important to take down these Shinjus first and says that if he runs out of control afterwards that Kawaki can kill him. Boruto says regardless of which way they went, Kawaki needs to get stronger. He says pretty much, you're my dad's student, and originally you were supposed to free Naruto from the seal, which would have been the most ideal thing to do for training. But now this is unrealistic because it will take too much time. And I really like the mention of this because it just shows you that Kawaki would have reached more of his full potential if Naruto was actually freed, which I do like that they give a mention of that. I am a fan of that detail, and I feel like Naruto himself would have gotten a lot stronger too. I don't think he would have gotten on this level, of course, unless he found like a new transformation or something, but I do believe that Naruto could have played a big role going into the stuff right now, but instead, we have this other route of him still being sealed, but at least this is something that was acknowledged, and I can respect that. Boruto says to Kawaki pretty much to go and confront Amado because he's hiding his real power. It's revealed that Kawaki has a limiter placed on him by Amado for his attack ability, but his defense and regeneration have been placed above max. And Amado's listening into this, wondering where Boruto got this information because he's watching through Kawaki's eyes. So it seems like he has access to that as well. He then remembers the toad that he saw from Kawaki's view and wonders how Koji could be alive and what his purpose is. So that's what Amado's thinking. But Boruto's pretty much telling Kawaki that Amado needs Kawaki's karma for his own use and that he's messed with his abilities right now to try preventing his death, probably anticipating that Code would attack. So Amado has taken some precautions to try dealing with Code across these years, but it also seems like he did cap Kawaki in a certain regard. So this makes a lot more sense now, you know. Kawaki would probably be a decent bit stronger across these 3 years if these limiters weren't on him. I don't think he'd be Boruto strong, but he'd probably be stronger. So this kind of just shows us we can't even blame Kawaki for this whole span of, you know, these L's he's kind of taken and everybody's calling him a fraud and everything. I don't even think we can really blame him when this is really more so on Amado. So that might be a conversation we get next chapter between Kawaki and Amado. I'm interested to see where that heads. But Kawaki tells Boruto that he still hasn't changed his mind on Otsutsuki's and that they are the root of evil and all of them need to disappear, including Boruto and himself, but they do agree that the Shinjus could be a good start. Kawaki says that he'll even team up with Boruto to eliminate them by any means necessary, and that he'll catch up to Boruto soon enough. So this chapter ends off with Boruto saying, "You better not hold me back, bro," and Kawaki says to him, "Back at you, jerk." And that's where the chapter ends. Overall, I am really, really satisfied with this chapter. Another really good to great chapter by Boruto. Pacing-wise, great. Story-wise, also really good to great because you're moving a lot of stuff and setting up what's going to be coming on in the next arc. Is it the best chapter of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex? No, but is it still continuing the trend of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex maintaining a certain standard? For sure. And I'm not sure, but I may even like this chapter a little more than last month's. It's possible. I mean, they're kind of around the same realm for me. They both were really good in their own way. It's hard for me to rank them, to be honest, but definitely a great chapter. I'm going to give this a 8.5 out of 10. Really, really good stuff. I'm excited to see where we head now going forward into the next month. And I'm curious to hear, too, what you guys think as well in the comments below. So definitely let me know. But that's going to wrap up this one. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you guys are new. And as always, I hope you guys have a good day or night whenever you guys are watching this video. I'm Rewinds, and I'm out.